Hey everybody, Saturday night, and let me just start off with I hope all of my fellow readers and chatters are home safe and sound, and that um, many prayers of protection around all of you for this truly monumental weather patterns that we're having with the storm coming in. So I'll give it a few minutes for people to pop in, but I hope everyone stays warm. And if you do lose your power, um, you know, plenty of lights on hand, candles, and blankets. And yeah, and so just wishing a lot of protection for everyone. And even Shan is telling me and showing me pictures. Russia got hit with a massive snowfall. And the thing is, like, the snow buildup is like, I don't know how many stories. I mean, this is just a lot going on for us right now. And I thank everybody for who joins and sends prayers. And I have a lot of friends who have been messaging me recently and telling me how heavy their hearts are and how feelings of helplessness, like for me as well, with everything that is going on in our country, especially with ICE. People know I typically do not talk about current events or politics, on my channel. But tonight, here, I'm trying to fix something here. But tonight, there's just so many of us who just have a very heavy heart, and I'm allowing this time to open up my chat to be able to maybe help some people get things off their chest. I also have some very positive decks here with me, and Nancy, I think it's you and me right now. We'll give it a few minutes to for people to pop in, and if anybody wants to join me, any fellow readers or even chatters who want to join and have join in the conversation live with me, you are more than welcome to. I will just go ahead and put the link in the chat. So, alrighty. Yes, thank you, Sahita. I don't know, how the state of your world is right now over in India, but lots of dark and heavy things going on here. But I will also say, hey, Gypsy, that for as much darkness as there is right now that we see, and how much ugliness that we see, that I was going to say, okay, Nancy, you always bring a lot of peace and calm to us. So that would be nice. Let me know, and I'll put the link if you'd like to join. And like I said, there's a lot of ugliness, a lot of, friends who, have to deal with health issues. It just seems like everything is just out of control right now. And of course, this is not for any fear mongering. This is not to put fear or worry or despair. This is just opening up a safe space for us to come and share things that are going on in our lives. And if things like that right now, what goes on in the world is something that you can't handle to hear right now, then it's truly okay not to stay. I know that we all have different different things that trigger us, different backgrounds, different traumas, and conversations like this can be very triggering. I had an episode the other night. Lexi, hello, my dear. It's so good to see you. Like I told Nancy, anybody who would like to join me, just to share any positive thoughts or things, or share what's on their minds, or not just in their minds, but in their soul. I mean, we are really going through some very, for me, this is why I don't understand how Shan can be in TV. I mean, he watches a lot of movies and all, but he is always glued to the weather and how bad it is, and going through with and watching videos on corporation and greed and everything. And I don't know how he does it, because for me, the other night he wanted me to see something about the storm, and it automatically started going into, the current administration, what's going on with ICE and everything, and I would think, even within 30 seconds, I was down spiraling. I had to literally, I was raging inside. And, a lot of that is not good for us. And I'm hoping that a lot of us are trying to take a break from the news and finding time for ourselves, our loved ones, where we can just get away for a while and sit down and talk about our day, talk about, what we got going on for school. Yeah, I don't watch it either, Lexi. Mm-mm. I'll see stuff, it's unavoidable when I go on Facebook and on Instagram. That's why I'm not on social media very much. Um, and this is the kind of stuff that, kind of tears at the the fiber of your being. Um, so yeah, like I said, this is not meant to cause any depression or any sadness, but just to, again, give everybody a space to talk. And as long as we stay respectful, I mean, language, you know, I'm not usually too worried about language, but just kind of having to watch how we, write certain things or send energy to. Because, I sometimes wonder, um, I don't know, because our phones are made to, you know, they're designed to put things into our feeds that we don't even want, that we don't even look into. I see it all the time. And then they make you go through loopholes to take them out. Um, yeah, I have a friend who was mentioning that their health care this week, the regular nurses that don't take care of him and the regular patients, um, were out on strike. And it's like, why do our nurses, why do our first responders, why do any of hospital staff have to ask for a livable, reasonable wage that they so deserve? You know, doctors and pharmaceuticals, and not knocking our doctors. But when you compare, I mean, the discrepancy is just despairing. And I have several women in my family who are nurses and were on the front lines when it came to COVID. And our hospital staff, our nurses, all those folks deserve um, a livable wage, or a respectable wage. I mean, the amount of money hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, HMOs, everything that they charge, and all that money that gets made, they can very much well have um, take care of our nurses and our medical staff. Yep. I just learned that today because I don't go on in um, social media too much. Hey, Boo, I was thinking about you, about things that you were sharing today. Because Jax has shared in chat that she's going through a rough time, not just with the physical pain, but also concerned about her loved ones. Some of her loved ones have a darker skin and they're in the process of having to hide it. A fear of going out and with ice and all, and things that she's seen. Anything you want to share, Jax? This is I'm opening up the floor to everybody tonight. Link, yes, Nancy. Let me find it here. No, that's not it. Hold on a second. It gives me the opportunity. I just have to find out where it is. There it is. So if anybody would like to join me in this conversation or to share what you feel like you may not be able to share. And again, this is not to scare people. This is not to fearmonger, because the last thing we want is for them and all this to put us in a state of fear. We are afraid to leave our homes, live our lives, speak our truth. This is a opportunity for us to stand in our power, to share what's going on, and to there she is. And she is here.
I'm in my gown. The only thing I have on is lipsticky. This is the real me.
Same thing here. I'm in my jammies.
Me too. But my gown. I got this really snuggly flannel gown.
See, and that's
warm.
nice.
Keep me warm.
Well, this is what we need. Things that make us feel comfortable, that bring us peace, get us out of our mindset. This is self-care. Yes. And like Miss Carol D says, self-care is not vanity, it's sanity. That is one of my favorite lines that I love to use. Thanks to Miss Carol D for sharing that. Yes, smack that sassy. So I wasn't even aware of the gentleman being shot this morning.
I saw that.
Jax told me about it, and she was very upset. We were talking, and that's why I just kind of felt like there's so many people. I know Roman has been very distraught over the news. Like I said, how Shan lives in the news day in and day out. I don't know how he does it. And I just seen a lot of my friends suffering. And that's why I wanted to, do this in case anybody needed to come and share what was on their minds, what they were feeling. And find a place of support right now. And when I pulled out my one deck, I haven't used it in a while, I was curious to see what the top and bottom card was. And it was the death card at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a rebirth. There is a change that is coming. And the bottom of the deck is the devil. So we have death on the top and the devil on the bottom. And for me, that was a sign stating that despite what's going on right now, the devil is on its way out. At least some form of the devil is on its way out, loosing the hold. And there is a rebirth that is on its way. So
I really try and not, I don't watch the news. I mean, now I have been watching the weather because of what's happening, and there's some weather YouTube channels that are great, I mean, they are on the ball. But, the thing about it is, well, I mean, I don't think any of us can believe what's happening.
I can't.
I think right there. And like what you were talking about with Jax, I mean, those are real issues. But I consider us light workers. Okay. And I think what's important for us to remember, and this is really hard. I mean, this is really hard to do. And I'm not saying it's easy. But when we get in such a state that we are paralyzed by what's happening around us, our vibration lowers. And when that happens, it feeds into the stress that we have and the fear that we have. And if there's any way that there is some way that you can try and raise your vibration, because that's what the world needs. You know, it doesn't need a bunch of people that are so stressed that they're almost paralyzed. You know, and I mean, I don't know. I know how I try to do it, you know, but everybody's different and everybody has their own way. And of course, Lexi, I mean, she's such a high vibration that, you know, her vibration is high enough for all of us, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something to really think about, because, you know, I'm just looking at this. I took out my, my deck of the Earth and Bone, deck, and the card that is on top. You were talking about the cards that, is the owl, and it says wisdom, independent thinking, and enlightenment.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And you know, we need to be wise. And it's hard. I mean, I get upset, and then I have to think, no, wait a minute, you know, if everybody is so upset and the vibration is low, then all of this negative stuff that's happening, that's making in the news, it's almost like our low vibration can allow it to fester. You know, I mean, does that make sense?
It's the cycle. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's how they make their money.
And as hard as it is, I mean, I think that we really need to try. Now, I don't have issues myself. I don't have to worry about the color of my skin. You know, and I have never understood. I mean, I'm so naive. I've never understood why someone would judge somebody or think less of somebody because their skin color is different from our own. Now, my husband was raised, you know, in the South, and I made sure that my children were not prejudiced in any way, and they're not. And I'm really proud that that's something that I accomplished, you know, through example. And there are a lot of people that, I mean, that's the way they were raised and that's their mindset, and they're wrong, but that's what they believe, you know, and it's sad.
And what got into my head tonight is, after I've been hearing about what these individual ICE people are doing, and I just started visualizing, and I was never raised to think of violence or think of horrific things for something to happen to a person for their actions. And I had to really step back and say, I'm not wishing on this. It's something that my psyche is trying to figure out how to find some sort of justice. But then at the same time, I had to step back and say, this is a lot of what they want. Look who's here. Oh my goodness. Jax!
Hi.
Hey, girl.
It's so good to see what you look like, lady.
She's
How you guys doing?
How
Well,
are you doing, my dear?
I'm, you know, looking for an ice storm, but other than that, I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
This country is saying no to ice in all different ways.
Yeah, I'm talking about freezing rain,
Yeah.
ice storms.
So what's going on, girl? Welcome, everybody. This is Lingo Unicorn, the mod extraordinaire in all of our chats.
Hi. I'm just hanging out. It's kind of an important day for me, so I had texted you about that the thing that happened that everybody saw, and so then it was time to have some joy. So I spent a couple hours with my brother, and we just had a good time, and I took a little break after because I was just emotionally and physically exhausted, and I saw that you popped on, so I thought I'd come and check out what was going on.
And here she is.
Yes.
And what I was thinking about earlier was, I was never, I mean, there's never been a period in my lifetime where things got so bad that, I was envisioning and wishing, horrible things to be done to a human being for their actions, as vile as some of these people are. But then I had to stop myself and say, Spirit, help me with this, because we have to take a step back and say, the people who are doing this, are they being forced to do this, or else they lose their job, they lose being able to take care of their families, or knowing our government, maybe even much worse, especially with current administration. And then you got to also think, how are some of these people raised? They have families, they have young children. So it's just so much to take in. And I think a lot of this is exactly what, the upper powers that be want, us to see. Because if we're hating each other, wishing death on each other, wishing violence on one another, that makes us controllable. That makes us, in their power. And it
They're
really,
trying to fracture our collective psyches, right? Like how an abuser would do the thing where you divide, separate, and conquer, right? It's very similar, but this is on a mass scale and not just an individual person to person kind of thing. So like, I don't know. I guess as hard as what I went through with my dad was, it also taught me that I don't want to go to a place where I'm over and beyond my limit again. And so when I get close to feeling at that point, my new favorite thing is I go hang out in the backyard. If I have to cry a little bit, it's actually I turn it around better. I'm just out in the backyard and I breathe until I regulate, and then because I'm usually watching the dogs be silly or cute or just laying in the sun, breathing the air, and then I
different
come
ways to
back in and I keep kicking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you share all
are you
that in
healing and feeling better, Jax?
there.
Yes and no. My hernia is healing very well, but some other things that I let go have really kind of, well, also just getting the care because they tend to gaslight me. And they've pushed me off so far that like now I can no longer wait. And now it's becoming visibly obvious as far as lack of mobility, limping, and because I have severe osteoarthritis, and it's at a point now where one of my ankles is in a grade 2 sprain all the time, and so I'm just trying to work around it because I don't choose to do opioids, and I choose to do like a natural holistic thing, because any kind of long-term medication that you're on is going to slowly kill your organs. So I've done all the other stuff, the rice, all that kind of stuff. So keep moving on.
Yep. And you're one of the most positive
I
people
just
that I
got
know.
a text from my daughter. She lives in eastern Tennessee, and they're in the midst of the ice storm. And it's funny if you could see the video. My son-in-law walks out on the porch and steps off the porch into the driveway, and as soon as he hits the driveway, his feet fly out from under him and he just falls flat. And Robin said, "It's okay to laugh, Mom. I'm laughing." I mean, it's hilarious.
Well, they're not hurt.
But he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah. That happened to something similar happened to Tom last night. He was out getting things before the storm, and there was a slide, and he got into a fender bender, but there wasn't any severe damage. But I checked in this morning, how are you feeling? And he's like, I'm sore. And I was like, well, make sure you check. So yeah, just a lot of caution, everybody. And I know too, with everything going on with these freaking, shootings and stuff and whatnot, even when people get behind the wheel. So not only are you adding in the weather and the fear, oops, we lost Jax. She'll be back.
Yeah.
That tends to sometimes, I would think fuel, so we're distracted. Maybe we don't focus on our driving. And this is really
Yeah.
when we need to make sure we're drinking enough water, we're getting enough sleep, we're getting
Yeah.
enough downtime from social media. And like
Well,
Jack,
until a
enjoy.
couple of days ago, I didn't even, I mean, I'm not well informed because, like I said, I don't watch the news. But I didn't even know. I was like, who are these ICE people?
Yeah.
I mean, where did they come from? I don't remember, and it may have been you that told me, Heather, or maybe Pam. They're Border Patrol
Yeah.
people.
They're,
I mean,
they're, they're a
I
division
didn't
of
know
Border
that. I
Patrol.
thought, who are these people and where did they come from?
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that that's what they were called, the Border Patrol people.
Mhm. And we're blessed where we are right now in Oregon, because Ashland is a very blue spot, and there are a lot of peaceful protests downtown. And as you drive out into Medford, you got people standing on the overpasses with their signs. You got people sitting outside, with the signs, and they are actively, protesting. And I saw this video where they're even going after the Native Americans, going onto their reservations and pulling them out and demanding. I'm like, wait a minute, who the fuck do you people think you are? I mean, this is where I get so well. This is Heather coming out. You don't want to see Heather when she's angry, but this is to the point where I'm like, I have Native friends. I have, it just, my friend Amanda back home. She's Black, and she's worried about her boys, her cousins, the men, being pulled over and stuff. And we should not be in the 21st century still having to live in fear of our skin color, our sexual preference, our religion, our gender. I mean, this is just, it's mind-blowing to me, ladies. It's mind-blowing. I just
Mm-hmm.
It's a damn shame, and a lot of people can't imagine it because they're like, oh, it could happen to me, this, that, and the other thing. But, you have to zoom out to different degrees when you're looking at any situation, and I know I was under 10 the very first time I experienced racism. So, like, it's not even really that surprising. It's just sad at this point that, I'm 44 now, and, like, it's been that long, and it's still more of the same.
Well, when I grew up, my mother was from Augusta, Georgia, and when I grew up, I mean, when I was 11, we moved from California to Florida, and
let me see.
I can remember
There we go.
the water fountains were white only, signs that said white only and colored only.
Yeah.
And, I was very concerned about, like, when we would go on vacation, I would say, Daddy, what happens to the Black people when they go on vacation? Where can they stay? Because, I mean, they couldn't stay in a Holiday Inn back then, And he said, well, they go to their communities and their places there. And I thought that was so sad. And when I would go to Augusta, I couldn't understand why they had to be at the back of the bus. I mean, I just didn't understand it, And my aunt had a yard man whose name was Willie, and a housemaid that was Gertrude. And, they worked there every day. And when we would have lunch, Aunt Hilda would have her lunch, and I had to have my lunch in the dining room with her, and Willie and Gertrude were in the kitchen. And I wanted to be in the kitchen with Willie and Gertrude because they were fun, but I couldn't, that was, you just didn't do that, and I just never understood it, but,
We've had a couple of comments. Krista Louise joined us as well. And she said, I think one can have a high vibration and be acting for justice in righteous anger, but not everyone can do that. And so these people, like us, how can we make a difference if we're not able to be out there on the front lines? And like tonight, this isn't, Heather banging herself up, but I just wanted to, people need to talk. Let me be able to do that. Let me be able to open it
Yeah.
up tonight. When we do our readings and we try to find that positivity, and
Mhm.
and like I said, with Jax, every time something bad happens, and when we're talking privately, there's this humor that just lifts the vibration, lifts up.
Mhm.
So I think if we all find ways of doing that, we can beat this. And there was
Well,
also
I
oh,
think high vibration is I mean, it's not easy, but I mean, you vote and then you watch what happens afterwards, and it's like I'm 78 years old, so I cannot take to the streets,
mhm,
but I can try and have a high vibration that's out there in the world, and I mean, it may sound trite, but I really believe it's not.
no,
I think it's very, very important because it has to do with ascension. And we live in a 3D world, but we're becoming 5D and higher. And in our the people in our community, and there are a lot of people, that have no idea about what this is. You
yeah.
know, but I mean, I think that that's something that I can do. But I don't know. Um, It may sound silly to some people, and I think righteous anger is a good thing.
hmm
I mean, but
I just wish more people would be out in numbers demanding change instead of waiting in line for the latest Apple iPhone or the late, you know what I mean? It seems to be
well, aren't a
people
lot of
more.
people doing that, Heather? Aren't a lot of people
I'm just saying
protesting?
in general over the years, there's just
Oh,
so much
well,
more
yeah,
focus
yeah.
on merchandise, consumerism and
Mhm.
stuff. And it's like,
It's
you
part
know,
of the distraction, though.
yes,
Mhm.
it's part
But
of
you
the
know what?
distraction.
This was a long time coming. It was
Yeah.
a long time coming.
And
And my father died in 1998. No, in 1996. And a few years before he died, he lived through the Great Depression, and he said things can't continue to go the way they are going. And he said, I don't know what's going to happen. He said, but something horrible is going to happen to this country. And he said, I won't be here to see it, but he said, you will. And he said, you know, and this was back in 90, maybe 93 or 94, you know.
mm,
And I think that the majority of people, myself included, just let life go along and not really pay attention to what was happening in the corruption and everything. And now this is what we've got.
I think what really started opening my eyes was when Bush Jr. won,
Mm.
and I started seeing things going on because I was living in Arizona and
Hmm.
with what was going on, getting us involved with the war and everything, and the amount of protests and things that people were doing out there for that. And then, of course, thank goodness, I mean, a lot of us can't even imagine how he got, like this other one reelected. And I thought when Obama came around, okay, no politician's perfect. He had his hand in the candy dish, as well, just like any other president. Sometimes their hands are tied, sometimes they're not. But at least there was a modicum of respect. There was a dignity. There was a push for as much, equality. You didn't, and then of course, then this came along, you know.
Hmm. Well,
The name that came
we're
out
old
you
enough that
mentioned.
we can remember,
Yeah.
how it used to be, that when you went to vote, you were excited about who you were going to vote for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had hope and you had promise, and
Yeah.
you know, but it seems like that's gone now. When you go, it's like the worst of two evils, the best of two evils.
Yeah.
You know, um,
I didn't think Kamala was qualified to be president. but I knew she would probably have help. I just did not see. I mean, I had a feeling, but like, with Hillary, I didn't have a car at that point yet. I was taking buses, and one bus only went. I had to walk like 3 miles almost to get to my voting, and it was pouring rain. I said, "Damn it! I'm going to utilize my vote." I am not going. And so I can see how people get disheartened. When you go out to vote and you expect a certain, um, result and you don't get it. Shelby joined us. Hello, Shelby. And she is sharing. I'm doing good despite getting older. I just don't like it. I'm just enjoying myself. Well, that's good. Anything else, Jax, you wanted to talk about, huh? Well, we have you because this is unprecedented. we were hoping for a snarky Friday night show, but you know what? This will do. This is what
A subdued night. No, so I've been shuffling my cards because I'm wondering, what do we have coming? What's gonna happen? So I'm using the Rainbow Brain Skull Candy deck. And so what's coming is card number 5, which is Infinite Freedom of Thought. Oh, where's my camera? Will be our foundation. Hang on.
Brand new foundation, yes.
So we need to, what we're doing now, as hard as it is, we got to burn it all down to build something worthwhile on top of it.
Yep.
Well, it's a tower moment.
Mm-hmm. And they talk in astrological circles that this is the same time when planets were in line when the French Revolution and the American Revolution were taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a feeling that there is going to be more violence. I'm just hoping that as a collective, we can see that coming, and maybe more people got together and did everything they could that was positive. And that can be something as small as going to your local community, whatever, and reading to kids, going out and helping people feed the homeless, could be going out. I mean, just little things in the community, doing things with kids, just to anything that raise, again, that vibration. And I'm not talking about, for me, I kind of have a thing about this Ascension 3D thing, because sometimes some of us need to be at a certain point or a certain vibration for us to learn our life lessons. And I don't necessarily think a higher one is, and this is just Heather, Miss Nancy, this is just Heather.
Oh,
Anybody
yeah.
else
I mean,
watching?
it's,
For
yeah,
me,
I
it's
mean-
like the 5. Sometimes I think people who are in a 5 or who are 3D can experience or have energies of 5, but we're all at different stages learning different things. And I think each of us, no matter what dimension or energy that we're at, we can raise, and help people in each of those, if that makes sense. Miss Tarot D.
You have to surf the energy, otherwise you're going to sink in the water. So that should be the goal overall.
I like that, surfing. Just lurking tonight. Well, Miss Tarot D, a lot of us were feeling stuff, and well, I know I was feeling stuff, and other people today. And so, and I saw your post on Facebook, and I just was like, let's talk tonight. Let's get everybody who needs to let things out. Jax, you're talking about crying. Crying is so important because the more we hold in this kind of energy, those emotions, it's only going to make us sicker. It really is. So I love that people could come on and say, I cry. It's okay. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It really
I think
is.
so too. Since my surgery, I cry all the time. I mean, I don't even know what I'm crying for. It's just I start crying.
Better out than in, really.
Yeah. And I just wanted to show you a card. I feel like that we, it's important for us to be strong. And I wanted you to look at this strength card because I absolutely love it. I hope there's not too much reflect. Let me see.
Oh, those colors
there
are
we go.
beautiful.
Well, but look at it. I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, the strength card, look at the skeleton's hand on the face of the lion. It's like this, I mean, it's very, it's gentle, but the gentleness makes it even stronger. And I think that when we try to be strong, we have to remember that we have to be compassionate, and that we have to be kind and not regress to the point where we're ugly, when we go out and, we're so frustrated about something, because then that makes us part of the problem. I think that's what I meant, like about a higher vibration is living with compassion, but knowing what's going on and in our own way trying to make it better, however you can do that. And these people that are out in the streets, I mean, that's righteous anger.
Yeah.
Well, it's impossible to hold one frequency, whether it's extremely happy or extremely angry, righteous indignation, one way or the other. It's impossible to hold for an infinite amount of time, at least here in this plane. So there's going to be a range with which we can surf. And so, my goal is to stay at the top end, but sometimes I cry and dip down, and then that allows me to fly back up.
Yeah, and then I say, okay, come on now, ground yourself and go outside and just look up at the sky. Look at the clouds, or just look at a tree or something, and get back to, not feeling this awful way, this awful helpless way.
And I also feel for people, because people know I'm very open about this. I have a mental health diagnosis. I have several. And for me to be able to hold my water and my shit together during everything that's going on, this is something that we have. We have our coping skills. This is what we talk about in a lot of our groups, having our coping skills. And one of those coping skills can be to turn off that TV, to be able to take a step back and make a list of, when I start to have these moments, what can I do? Go out for a walk, go out and get some fresh air. And sometimes for some people, just opening the door and taking a few steps outside is monumental. And so that's another way of raising their vibration. And, those with mental health, especially too, seeing this, it can be very overwhelming. It can bring our moods, boom, down just like that. It, gives sometimes some people a sense of what is, and I'm going to be very, very careful where I talk on this, because of course I am not a mental health counselor, although I am going to get my degree or certification for peer counseling. So this is some things that I'm talking about from a peer perspective, and knowing that, we do have to be mindful of, at this time, the proper self-care, making sure that we're not overindulging in things that we know are not good for our health, including our mental well-being, like the TV, finding creative ways of coping with our emotions, our sadness, our anger, whether it's through dancing, walking outside, getting a pillow, screaming into a pillow, whatever it is, that we can release that, and not to be afraid again of our emotions. Let me see, Miss Tarot D, interesting. The topic from yesterday's cancer group was resilience. And one of the questions posed was, where did you learn your resilience from? And Miss Tarot D, where did you learn yours? That's a beautiful question for everybody in chat, and for us, if anybody would like to answer it, because that's exactly what we're going through. Our resiliency, still being vulnerable to people that need it, to show our compassion to. That's amazing. So did anybody want to share where they think they got their resilience from, where they learned it?
My mother. She was a very strong woman. She was very compassionate, but she was strong. My husband said that she was the strongest person he had ever met. And that's saying something, you know, but
And Jax, you said your daddy's birthday was this weekend?
Thursday was his birthday. He would have been 70. And then today is the 1 year anniversary of his passing, which is partly why my brother came over. It was a couple of reasons, but that was one of them. So we were just hanging out because, last year was kind of a bummer. So we had a feast in his honor, a feast of leftovers, the best kind. So tacos to order. You know me, I love my tacos.
Yes.
And, making some good memories in its place. And it's funny because I was Thursday on his birthday, I was just sitting in the living room by myself, taking a moment to reflect on when I was done having my moment and I was having a memory of him. I get a ping on my mobile, and it was his childhood best friend, the older sister, and she was wishing me or wishing him a happy birthday in heaven, and
Beautiful.
it made me cry a little bit. I was like, "Thanks, Dad." He stops by a lot. He makes Tom Petty play on my phone, and just different things. I just I follow the glimmers. That's what I do.
Yeah. And I asked you about your dad because I know that you have shown such resilience. He showed resiliency when he was going through, and then you all being there for him. To me, that was from things that you have shared. That felt like that would be a beautiful moment to share about resilience and where we can get them from. And Mousie's is here. She goes, hey everyone, being careful of what I say. Took my meds, loosens my mouth too. So you're okay, my dear. And Miss Taro D said, well, I made observations that the same way we have generational trauma, we also have generational resilience. Man, Miss D's dropping the mic tonight. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think for me, my resilience had to have been learned. I had a mother who kind of got me into certain situations growing up where I had no choice but to survive. And that was quite a bit starting around from the age of 13, 14 years old, up until even when she passed in 2004. So, and then, beyond. So for me, resilience, not necessarily learned from other family members, but just from that position of being, sink or swim. And yeah, so. And Mousy says, oh, how lovely honoring him. Yes.
I think I am going to leave. I'm going to be watching the chat, but I am going to, and maybe somebody else can come up and, give their thoughts on what you're talking about tonight.
I'm allowed, I think, up to 5 or 6. So
yeah.
But thank you, Miss Nancy. And before you go, I also pulled a card. I have a deck that I'm glad I never gave up. It's called Unshakable Inner Peace.
Ooh, never even heard of that.
The card I pulled, this is just absolutely beautiful. There she is, surrounded by her crystals and her light. And it says, take responsibility for your life as a creative adventure. How can you live with more meaning, integrity, and truth? And that's exactly what we're talking about to combat what we are going through right now, is tapping into taking responsibility for our life, our situation, being able to direct that energy to help others and finding ways of being able to do that. So,
yeah. Well, Heather, kick me out.
Oh, you can't go out yourself? I think there's a little button.
Let me see.
There's a little button. I mean, if you want me to kick you out, I can. If you can, I got my finger on the remove button.
Yeah. Remove.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Nancy.
Bye, Nancy.
So, but yeah. Wow. Kind of, let's see, what else did Shelby share? My family, especially my father, don't really have a good understanding on what respect or how to treat others because of the way his father treated him. when he was younger. So I'm self-taught. True. Exactly. Same thing with my mother's side of the family. From my understanding, my grandfather was a horrible, abusive man, but at the same time, my mother never lost love for him. And when I think of all the beatings he used to put on her, my nana, everybody, I have to stop and think, well, what happened to him and his father? And what happened to his father's father, you know? So this is kind of like Mr. O.D. was saying, generational, looking where the generational traumas come from, and yet how can they still show the resiliency that they came through. Like, really, I don't know how my nana survived, getting beaten almost every day. And I gotta be careful here because I know I'm going into territory. So I shouldn't have said it that way. My apologies from the abuse that they all suffered at his hands. So for me, that trauma. I'm still working on trying to fix that, and hopefully the energy that we do for ourselves helps maybe alleviate some of that in the past, so that, the future generations
And I
can.
think if you're actively trying or working towards, a goal of self improvement or, peeling the onion, so to speak, um, then you're moving in the right direction, in my opinion.
Back to my family,
You were still backstage.
my roots.
Well, I've got to go. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Sorry about that. I'm looking. Did she want to come back in again for something? So I'm sorry, my dear. Continue.
No, that's it. We should just, like when you think you know it all and you don't, you know what I mean? You don't want to stagnate, because I think that's when when you're missing out on, because the journey is where the magic is, I think.
And sometimes that journey is really, you look at the journey, some people might want to you call that a journey. Some people might want to look at it as like a bloodbath, for some of what some of our people have been through. But yeah.
Side quest can be anything.
Side quest journey. Yeah. But I totally get it. Everybody's journey is different from everybody else's. And like, a lot of us say, when we, shut off and get off of our shows and out of our chats, nobody really knows what we go through, once we all said goodbye, and what struggles or even challenges, and positive things that are going on. And I can say one of the things that brings me joy, especially when I'm feeling down, is when I go to Instagram, I see Selena's videos of Darla, her doggie with Addison's. When you share pictures of Cookie and the other little ones sitting on your lap, Jonathan sends pictures of, of his dogs and his kitties sprawled out all over him. So even simple things like our pets, when we share pictures, of our animals, I mean, they're the essence of true spirit, of angelic energy. And so, sometimes the best thing to do to raise your vibration is to go watch some kitty, cat, or dog videos.
Palette cleanser. I like to call those palette cleansers.
Yes.
Bye, Lexi.
Yes. Good night, Lexi. Thank you for popping in. It was good to see you, my dear. And Mousy said her parents survived the Great Depression. Yep, so did my grandparents. Talk about generational. My grandma Johnson was actually kidnapped by her Jewish side of the family, because back in the day, Jews and Catholics were not allowed to marry. And my great grandma ended up having my grandma with a Jewish man. And when they found out about 6 months to a year later, they swooped in, had the marriage annulled, and then proceeded to say, hey, let's take out the grandchild and we'll go for a walk, we'll go for a stroll, and ended up kidnapping my grandmother and putting her away in one of those convent schools or something. And so it took a while for the other side of the family to find my grandmother. So I never got to talk to my grandmother. I never got to meet my grandfather. So from my grandma Johnson. By the time I got old enough to start learning about these things, about the past and what, our grandparents went through, she was already in the process of her dementia and stuff. So I couldn't really, ask her. But again, you just, the stories, the traumas that, our families have been through. And then what you got going on today, I'm hoping I'm not, overkilling this. Is there anything else that you
A
want
lot
to
of
add?
lack, a lot of mindset of lack is where people are come from.
Yeah.
Lack of rights, lack of many things, safety, and it's part of having to shift the mindset. You know what I mean? Like how keeping the vibration high. Because somebody's got to keep bailing water off of this sinking
Yeah.
ship.
There you go.
I'll keep bailing.
I just got that image from that one scene from one of the pirate movies where he was in the boat with the dirt and he's trying to, the boat sinking and he's throwing out.
Yeah.
So again, things like that to, raise your mood, to make you laugh, to make you, so yes, when, we have these moments of like what's going on, it's important that we, ask our ancestors for help too. They've been through similar things like this, and hopefully, when they cross over, I know not everybody, changes, really who they are, but a lot do. And asking them to lend us support, lend us energy, lend us strength to help us get through our trials, our traumas, our things like what we're going through right now in the country. So yeah, I had that feeling again today, when you sent me that. I just got this feeling of being helpless and saying, what can I do? I mean, it's just, it's heartbreaking when I see children involved. Hey, Tools of Fortune. Wait a minute. I know Tools of Fortune. Bill? No. Tools of Fortune.
It's Bill's alternate. It's the one he was modding his 99 channel
That's
with.
what I thought. So I saw the colors and I'm like, those are Bill's colors. So
Yeah.
hey, Bill, we're just hanging out tonight talking about, I'm opening up, space for, people want to talk about what's going on. A lot of people know that that's like a topic that's, not for others channel, but with everything that we're experiencing right now and the stress, I figured I would maybe do a live show where people can just open up, vent, share what's on their minds. Bill, I'm just really realizing how blessed I am to be here over here. With Ashland being, this area being a blue spot, it's so far removed from what, because I see what's going on in Minnesota and a couple of other places, and yet I'm sitting here and every day I go out, I see diverse people here, in ethnicity, in preference, in gender identity. Everybody, we have the homeless here too, but there's so many people here that just support, love, and care about each other. I mean, it's just it's like living in two different worlds. You came from a wake? Oh, wait a minute, for a friend. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry to hear that.
My condolences that you lost your friend. If it helps you any, if you want to share anything about your friend. Oh, Eric Von Daniken passed away 2 weeks ago. I didn't know that. Wow, he was the one that got things going with the chariots of the gods and stuff and whatnot with the alien. I can't think of the alien theory with our planet. So wow, I did not know that. So let's see. Shelby also shared with us, my grandmother was born 1935 and she lived to be 90 years old. Could you imagine, Jax, living 90 years, going from where we started and seeing I mean, I'm kind of scared to live that long because I don't know who's going to be around to take care of me. But at the same time, I mean, can you imagine what they saw from, just a regular, switchboard where you dial and they have to switch you through, and then came the phones and everyone was like, oh, the phones, hanging on the wall, spin, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? The advancements of technology and history and dress and music, to me, that's just absolutely fascinating. So if it's safe, I would love to kind of see where things, although it's getting a little scary with the AI, I will admit. I'm trying to avoid using all of the AI gadgets that are coming with my new laptop. But yeah, ancient alien theory, that's what it was. Yes. I tell her it astonishes me with how she lived through World War II and to see what happened. Yeah. And I know what you mean about, because right now, people that support him, I'm like we say, name that should not be mentioned in the house. We call him Voldemort. People, even during his first run, doing the salute, and it's mind blowing that our grandparents, fought and died in these wars, even all the way up through. And that's one of the things too that makes me angry, is that the sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifices that our men and women have made for what? A lot of times for resources, just to get certain presidents out of country so that we can get oil. I mean, a lot of times it's rare to, help liberate anybody. There's always has something to do with resources and and now us trying to go after Greenland. I mean, my God, some of the things that comes out of this moron's mouth, I just cannot that's why I like Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, I watch sometimes the little shorts, and he's kind of like that, a spoonful of sugar makes the best thing go down, so to speak.
People are starting to ask him if he's going to run coming up. He hasn't said no. Wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, Ukraine has their comedian prime minister, right? President Zelensky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're just so desperate for change at this point. We're looking for anything.
He said, that the comments were made in the past from his staff and whatnot that, that he would refuse to step down. And that's one of the things that makes me very nervous. Because then what is going to happen? This is why I get so angry and frustrated. Oh, bye, Miss Taro D. Go rest, my dear. We love you. Mwah.
Bye, Miss Taro D.
And sharing that beautiful wisdom with us. That was amazing. Thank you. That's something that I know scares Shan, because Shan was military for a while. Michelle Marie, her and Jonathan left the U.S. when he won again, because they could see the things that they were already experiencing up in Washington and with the police and whatnot, everything that was going on. They were like, no, we got to get out of this country. They could see things that were coming. And I don't know. This is going to be, I'm hoping maybe 10, 20 years down the road, we can look back and say, wow, we made it, we survived. A lot of people talk that this was supposed to happen to wake us up, but it shouldn't have. This day and time in our evolution as a human, as a species, as a race, we should not have needed this clown, and the people that support and follow him and work for him. We should not have needed that to improve, the lives of people, no matter, what culture or anything. This should not, we should never have needed this. Because a lot of people talk about history repeating itself. That's why I call him the annoying orange. Oh, and Bill said my mother is going to be 86 on March 13th. Shan's birthday is the 13th too. Oh, wow. 86, Bill. And I'm going to be 58 on March 22nd. Wow, wow, wow. Well, early happy birthdays. And let's see. Shelby also said we need change. I'm waiting for this tower moment to get everything. I'm just hoping that when we do have this tower moment, I just keep putting energy out that there's not going to be many casualties. I know that there's something's going to happen. There's going to be violence. There's going to be unrest. Things are going to continue to happen, but please, Spirit, can't really think of how I want to word it, but let it be.
The weight is getting harder, right? Like the way that time is kind of, it's smushy is the way I would describe it. Like the way that it speeds up and slows down based on your focus, how big or small you're making it. Keep holding on. We have to have hope, right? Any rebellion is contingent upon hope.
The least amount of casualties as possible. Let that be control. Let the powers that be, the good powers that be, help. That's my hope. That's my prayer. And Bill was sharing about his friend, my friend that passed away from kidney cancer in December. I met at the casino in 2014 when he was fired for insubordination. I got hired into a mid-shift bartender position. So there you go. It's interesting how we meet the people in our lives that we're closest to, and the connections. And Shelby says it scares me because I want to go to Europe, in Norway or Sweden or Denmark, and live there. Maybe not my entire life, but I would like to stay there. But now with everything that's happening, and again, that's the fear. And I understand that makes absolute sense. But again, there's that fear.
Unless you're getting that bonk of enlightenment that says, I gotta go. Now, I think right now we should just like hang tough, hold the energy, because it's like black peaks of construction paper and you poke little pinholes in it, because we're not super concentrated in one area. But if you get enough of us lit up everywhere, we're going to be able to break through, because the only thing that's going to snuff out the darkness is the light.
And the thing is that we need that darkness to balance out that light. That's why when people say, one day there will be world peace, and it's like, but that can't be, because we need to maintain that balance, or else things, I would rather have the light having the upper hand, in the situation. But
definitely.
Back in the day, I was like, well, they go, well, if you don't have no hate, or how are you going to know what love is? And and it makes sense from a philosophical point of view, but when you're trying to, when you know that doesn't quite feel right, but yet at the same time, it's all a part of, I guess, the earth walk. Our souls have to learn. People say we come here for a reason. It's predestined. I don't know how much is predestined, to be honest. I sure as hell don't have all the answers. I know there are some in the community that do, but for me, we really don't know. Again, not till we get to the other side, right, Jax? Then we'll be like, oh,
that ding dang veil. That ding dang veil of forgetfulness, always messing stuff up.
Yeah. And Bill said, for me, with my Mayflower roots and Oregon Trail family, I feel rooted to Oregon and Washington. It's your home. That's beautiful. Like, I'm here and I feel welcomed. I feel loved. But for me, I can still feel my roots in New York. I still feel the roots from my home state where I grew up. There's still that energetic bond. And I was in Arizona for 8 years, and I still feel the pulls also to Arizona. So I totally understand that, Bill. Oh, Shelby says, I believe in one of my past lives, I was an American Revolution soldier, and it just occurred to me the other day with all this and the astrology. I think there's going to be a part two. And it's interesting that you brought that up because when I had my ancestry done, I was able to get into some of the ancestry trees, and I found out that I have a relative that fought in the Revolutionary War and apparently survived, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after that Civil War, you would think. But yeah, I wish I could eradicate. And that's one of the things too, is that I keep seeing this image of they put these two children, two different colors, and it says hate is not, you're not born with it, it's taught. And you see, you can put the kids in a group all to, young ones, and they have no clue. It's us that teaches them that. And it starts at home. It really, really does.
So
And
tomorrow, I was thinking about tomorrow, and what do we need? What's something?
choose joy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the puppy. That's cute.
So ears flapping, tongue out, blissful grin. Joy is found in the ride itself if you embrace it.
We have to, for our own physical, mental, spiritual, emotional well-being, and those of our loved ones. We have to maintain that. Hold those moments when we have those emotions, especially our loved ones. If they need to come to you and cry, let them cry. Let them get it out. Let them know that you're there, and then say something like that to them. Let's find something that makes us happy. Let's do something, that brings us joy. And I love that.
It's not always about solving the problem. Sometimes it's just sitting with them while they have, are going through their feels.
Mm-hmm.
Being seen, right? Being seen is very important.
Because it's the old time saying you're to be seen and not heard, and a lot of that needs to change,
No.
No, what?
No, the being seen and not heard.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, because that shuts children down. I mean, you can't. It's interesting because as I got older and I saw, my niece and nephew and whatnot, and how they chose to raise their kids, and my cousins and raise theirs. They still go by with, well, what we got from our parents is just as good for them as it was good for us. And I'm like, no, stop. It breaks my heart when I see
the world that each generation lived in. The current generation does not know of its existence unless we tell them, because everything's different by the time you get to the next cycle. That's silliness. That's just
I see them doing
obtuse.
that to their kids. Mm-hmm. They do
It's
the same
obtuse
things to their
thinking.
kids that our parents did to us, and I'm like, no, that's not good for us. Good for no. It just, like I said, it breaks my heart when I saw a video with a nephew of mine saying to my grandnephew, don't act like you're fucking stupid, or you fucking, and I'm just like, what are you doing? No, but that's how he was raised, and that's how, and he's got a good heart. It's just, sometimes I just wish I could just but I can't. That's their life path. Like you said, we all have our journeys. And when I try to help, I was told to mind my own fucking business. So I have to.
You tried, and you know what I mean? Like, that you have to be okay with that aspect of it, because some people wouldn't even do that much.
Yeah. So, I'm hoping that after with everything that we're going through right now, something very good comes out of this. And the last time I watched something, a short, it was a couple of weeks ago. Rachel, I think it's Maddox or Maddow, or whatever. She's one of those people on CNN. She was mentioning that his numbers, his approval rate is down to like 30%. And yet, why do I have this? Why is everything still going on? Why is all this still being, it just, yeah.
Why 30%? Why is there still that? That's my question.
Because he brings out the worst in people, certain people. Rachel
It's
Maddox,
true.
there we go. Hi, Nancy. So, yeah, infuriates me. Yeah. But it doesn't, yeah, we still love them no matter what. Um, I'm grateful that even though my dad was, I hate to, I don't use the word bigot. He could have racial tendencies. Let me just put it that way.
Bye, Bill.
Bye, Bill. Thank you for popping on and saying hello. And again, I'm sorry about your friend. Much love to you. But my mom, at least that was something I got good from her that she taught me. None of the jokes, the racial jokes. Every time my dad would try to tell, mom was like, "Knock it off," and she would say, "This is not acceptable." And I was raised, even though they weren't welcome at the house. A few of my black friends and stuff from school, and that my mom had. So at least my mom gave me that sense of, and I will admit I had my own issues too when I first, moved to Arizona. I won't get into that here, but I will too admit that I had been allowed to have my opinion directed by things that I heard from other people when it came to immigration. And I had to say, I was in a place too. But, ignorance, people cannot be ignorant. They have to wake up, they have to see what's going on. And, I own my shit, that I said before. And that's why, when people say, no, they're too set in their ways. No, really, they're not.
It depends. It really depends. It really should be once you know better, do better. But it's not always necessarily like that. And you have to look at it from person to person because do they want to be right or do they want to be happy? Because there's a certain kind of person that, yes, they are stuck in their ways. And, if somebody is wanting to have a personal delusion, who am I to stop them on their path if that's what their path is, right? So that's where that discernment part comes in because we can't save everybody. You can save who you can, who's willing, but you can't save everyone. It's just impossible.
It's
literally impossible.
And then there goes the argument that we all have a predestined role to play, in life. And that's when you get into the whole free will, conversation, so to speak. A brand new world, a brave or a more loving, more inclusive. But yeah, these are very interesting times. And I just keep asking my guides, my higher powers, to protect the ones that I love, help them make the right choices, to come from a place of love, compassion, understanding, and not so much. Because I have family that I stopped following on Facebook and all because they were his supporters or they support some of the stuff that's going on. And I'm like, no, I can't. I can't.
Yeah.
So it's just, I still love them, still wish them love, and hopefully at some point, maybe their perspective or understanding, will change. In the meantime, we have to work on ourselves. And it's, again, like Ms. Taro D said, it's not vanity, it's sanity to take care of ourselves. Because when we're able to do it, then our loved ones see that it's possible. And that's how we hold each other up. So let's see, it's schools. Oh my goodness. I think it's what, 10:30 yours? Yeah, 10:30 your time. So I probably
And 20. Time to party.
I wish I had something. Now was the time when I was kind of like, oh my God, if I were in my 20s, I'd be like, let's grab a beer. No, for me at the end, when I was still able to drink, I enjoyed my chocolate martinis, but that's long gone. So Heather's just woohoo, sticking to water tonight and a glass of milk and maybe a chocolate donut. So that'll be my
Hey, that's good enough, you know?
Well, Jax, it was all awesome for you to join me. It was such a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on.
I don't know if you saw the look on my face when I looked down and I saw you down there. I was like, it's like, what? Wait a minute, what? So we'll have to do a Friday, make it really lighthearted, a lot of laughing, have a good time. And everybody, yes, smack that sassy. She's the one that got that started. And thank you, everybody. Be safe. Nancy said they're getting sleep for about the next hour. So everyone stay home, stay cuddled up with your fur babies, your kids, play some board games, shut off the
Keep
TV
breathing,
stuff.
keep swimming.
Yep. Keep breathing, deep breaths, and tap into that creativity. And we will see you on the next show. So take care, everybody. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.